these exciting messages from the book of Philippians, written by the Apostle Paul. And Paul is talking about spiritual service. He's talking about those that are in churches that don't care. They don't have the right spirit. They're not serving the Lord for the Lord, but they're serving the Lord for themselves. And Paul's going to continue to go on this as he talks to this church. And 2 in verse 22, Tain de dokimain, auto, genoskete, hote, hos, patri, teknon, sin, emoi, edolusen, eis to euangelion. It starts out with that little weak adversive conjunctive particle there, 85. But the testing of him, ye know, noskete. But the testing of him, you know. The word testing there is dokimain. Dokimain comes from dokio. And that, and we're talking about the testing of character here now. We're talking about attitudes. We're talking about real, true attitudes of serving the Lord, and those for pride, for whatever you do, whatever they do. Paul said some of them preach Christ for money, some of them preach for pride, some of them preach for honor and whatever among other people. Just like Jesus in the book of Matthew called out the Pharisees and scribes and the priests and the high priests and all that for preaching for the honor of men and not for the honor of God or for the pleasing of God. The word dokimain there means to, literally it means to test metals. It means to test gold and silver, especially gold. How do you test it? The testing of him, you know. That word you know there is second person plural present indicative active from gnosko. Ye understand this thoroughly because, hote, conjunction, page 294, because as the Father, a child with me, he served in the gospel. Now that word eis there, eis to euangelion, that means literally, totally in it and completely surrounded by the gospel. And then where he served there, it comes from dulio, that means like a slave. Third person singular, first aorist indicative active. He served like a slave with me in the gospel. Verse number 23, and he's talking about Timothy, Timotheus. Timothy means what? Honorable to God. Then tuton, main, un, elpizo, pempse, hos, on, afidu, ta, peri, and me, iates. We'll start this out. This indeed, therefore. Or therefore, this indeed, I hope. Now remember the word elpizo? What does it mean? It comes, it's first person singular present indicative area here. I'm hoping continually. It means to hope with a guaranteed future. It means more than hope. It means trust, secure. I trust and I hope to send as if I may see the things concerning me immediately. I may send, or I send here, first aorist infinitive active, or to send, as if, now this fourth class conditional, Davis's grammar, page 214, the fourth class conditional is the condition is undetermined, but with a prospect of termination. In other words, I hope it's going to happen. He hopes that he can send Timothy to them. And the things concerning me immediately. Eautos, that means at the very moment, at the very time, at once. Yeah, exautos comes from ex and autes. Now let's go over here to pampoitha, de, en, curio, hote, kai, autos, toxios, elusomai. Paul's whole life was centered around Christ. After it was his first part of his life where he was a Pharisee. He was very religious, and his whole life was centered around religion. And then the Lord stopped him as he was trying to kill Christians and destroy churches, and said to him, Paul, Paul, or Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me? And he said, who are you, Lord? And he said, Jesus, whom you persecute. And then he stopped, and he went the other direction. Paul's whole life was centered around getting people saved, and then founding those saved in the truth, in the genuine Christianity. Pampoitha, I have been thoroughly persuaded, I trust. First person singular, second perfect indicative active. Pampitho. Weak adversative conjunctive, page 85 there. In the Lord. I have been persuaded in the Lord, in Christ, that, or because, the little conjunction hoti there. Also, myself. And this here is a autos, this is what's called autobiography. That's where you get this word autobiography. Myself. Shortly. I may come there because I'm willing, is what it says. And shortly, toxios again, this little adverb, and 614 in there, by the way, that I may come there because I want to for myself. First person singular future, indicative middle voice. He wanted to see their genuine Christianity, and he wanted to see if all the good news about them was absolutely true. And then we have here another one, 225. Anag kaon de hage somen epiphroditon ton adelphon kai synergon kai sistra tiotein mu himon de apostolon. Second part of that verse, kai lu turgon tes karias mu pamse pros himos. Anag kan on. This means to compress. It's on page 21 in the Analytical Greek Lexicon. It means of indispensable, of necessity. Absolute necessity. But of absolute necessity, I considered it calculated for myself. This word hagesamen, it comes from hageomai, first person singular, first aorist, indicative middle voice, that I considered it for myself, or calculated for myself. Epaphroditon, Epaphroditus. It means charming. The name Epaphroditus means charming. It comes from Aphrodite, and Aphrodite. This is a masculine form of Aphrodite, which means pleasing, which means the goddess of love. There, page 229. Charming, charming. Epaphroditus, tone, and the brother, tone, adelphon, and fellow worker. Now he's talking about Epaphroditus here. A fellow worker, seen ergon, that means together, worker. Seen is together, and that's a preposition on front of it, and then ergo, or erkio. The fellow worker and fellow soldier. Look at this now. This word here, sistrati tiotein. A fellow soldier. Now, the fellow soldiers here at this period of time were working in danger. Working in danger. The word warfare is in this word. It comes from the word to be a soldier, a strategist, by the way, comes out of this word. But this means to work in a environment of danger, because Paul was arrested, he's in jail, he's in prison, and he's waiting at execution. So this guy is a fellow soldier working in the atmosphere of danger, a fellow soldier of me, and of you all, of me there, genitive singular, first person pronoun, and then of you all, genitive plural, second person pronoun, and then we have the word day, weak adversive conjunction, moreover, an apostle. Apostle. Apostolon. And minister. Servant. This word here, le tudagon, this means a very menial servant, the one that cleans out the toilets, the one that washes the dishes, the one that mops the floors. That's what that one means. And minister of the need of me. He's cleaning up after me. He's taking care of me. He's washing my clothes. He's changing me. Necessity, what need of me? The word need there is kreos, comes from kreomai. What individual need is page 438 in the Analytical Lexicon, by the way. To send. Pamsaw, first aorist infinitive active, to send. Toward you all. Pros, page 346, toward you all. Verse number 26 now. Epede, epipothon, ein, pantos, hemos, kai, ade menon, diote, akuseta, kusate, that is, hote, asenason. Since that word epede there, it means because, in as much as it's a conjunction, but it has a idea of a conclusion coming. A sense holding upon the mind or longing after, that's nominative singular masculine, present participle active, epipotheon, holding my mind upon. He was kept on being, third person singular perfect indicative active from Amy. All of you being troubled. Look at that word, monon, monon. Being troubled, being homesick, present participle active, nominative singular masculine. Being homesick. Because, diote, because, dia and hote, that's where the word comes from. Ye heard that he was sick, he was ill, he was ailing, he was bewildered, he was discontent, he was depressed and weak. 27 now, and we'll stop right here for this set of verses. Kai, Gar, Asenason, Hara, Plesoion, Thanaton, Alla, Hotheos, Eleason, Auton, Uk, Auton, De, Monon, Alla, Kai, Eme, Hina, Me, Lipane, Epi, Lipane, Sko. For indeed, he was very sick. He was extremely ailing. Third person singular, first aorist indicative acting from ostineo. Near, close, alongside death. Now, alongside death. But the God showed mercy upon him, the God, but, strong adversative conjunctive particle page, or conjunction page 15, and then Hotheos, the God of heaven, he showed, third person singular, first aorist indicative active, upon him, he showed mercy. Elio, that comes from Elio there. By the way, the one of the titles of Messiah is the man of mercy, the man of loving kindness. Upon him, not him, moreover not him only, but also me. In order that, not grief upon grief, I might have. Grief upon grief I might have. Now, this man was sick unto death, right at the point of death and dying. Now, Paul prayed for God to heal himself, several times, but he didn't do it. He said, my grace is sufficient for you. Now here, this man was sick unto death and God brought him on through. Why didn't God just heal him to begin with? Because healing and the miracles were not for believers, they were for unbelievers. This man was a believer. But because showing mercy to Paul, when this man, whatever legitimate sickness he had, he might have had some type of fever, he might have had cancer, he could have had a heart attack, been having a heart attack, whatever's going on with him, God decided to bring him through it because it would be too much grief upon grief for Paul. Paul couldn't take care of it. Let's go back here and read this in the Amplified Bible for a moment, starting with number 22. But you know of Timothy's tested worth and his proven character, that he has served with me to advance the gospel like a son serving with his father. Therefore I hope that it is his will to send him immediately, just as soon as I see how my case turns out. Now Paul was he was in prison 2 times in Rome. One time he was turned loose for a short time, and then he was arrested again, and then he was executed. He was decapitated. See how my case turns out. And then he said, I trust confidently in the Lord, that soon I also will be coming to you. Now Paul was released for a while, and then they took him back, and that's when Nero was, he started blaming all the Christians for Rome burning down, which basically, as far as we know, he had it burned down and watched it burn. Kind of like California, burning up right now. Their governor goes around and tells them how it's everybody else's fault, and he cut off all the water and emptied all the reservoirs, and he said, well, it's all the local people. Paul didn't say it's the local people here. I trust confidently in the Lord, as soon as I will be coming to you. However, I thought it absolutely necessary to send back to you Epaphroditus, who has been my brother and companion and fellow soldier, who was also sent as your messenger to take care of my needs. For he has been longing for all of you, and was distressed because of you, had heard that he was sick. He certainly was sick, and close to death, right alongside death, but God had mercy on him, not only on him, but also on me, so that I would not have sorrow upon sorrow. Let's go and do a couple of more verses here, and read them here from the Amplified Bible first, since we're here. So I have sent him all the more eagerly, so that when you see him again, you may rejoice, and I may be less concerned about you. Welcome him home in the Lord with great joy, and appreciate and honor men like him, because he has come close to death for the work of Christ, risking his life to complete what was lacking in your service to me, which distance prevented you from rendering personally. In other words, they sent him as a messenger to help Paul, which he did. Let's go on here a little bit further in the Greek. Spudei deoterus un epipsa auton hina idontes auton Pauline karete kago alupoteros. Oh, with speed and great, in spede is what the word in Greek here is. Spudo deoteros. Speedily and quickly. It's a little adverb. Speedily and quickly. Therefore, I sinned. First person singular, first aorist, indicative active. It's punctiliar action. He's going to send him, and it's going to be gone. Over with. Him, in order to that, having seen him again, ye might rejoice. Having seen him, idontes. That's nominative plural masculine, second aorist participle active. Having seen him again, that little Pauline there, that's an adverb. It means back again. Ye might rejoice. Second person plural, second aorist, imperative, and passive voice. You might be caused to rejoice. And I also, kago, again from kai and ego, not grieved, alipoteros, means less sorrowful, freed of grief, I may be, or I may become, actually. First person singular present, subjunctive active. Verse 29, pros dexeste, un auton, en kurio, meta, passes, karos, kai, tus, toi ontos, entomos, ekete. Pros dexeste. To receive for yourself, welcomely, standing, putting your hands out is what it says. Second person plural present, imperative, middle voice, pros dexami. We got our word index finger from this dexami. To receive for yourself, with open arms, therefore him, in the Lord, with all joy, in the Lord, in kurio, that's in, that preposition, page 137, and then in the Lord, kurio, locative, singular, masculine. Now, there's 8 cases in Greek: nominative, genitive, locative, instrumental, dative, accusative, and vocative. And in the dative cases, or the 3 lid, what they call the lid cases here, you have this one in the locative. In the Lord, with all joy, with all charos, all joy, and the such ones having honored ye hold. Of such a person, intimos, of such an honorable person, an honored person. Clothe him with honor. That's what he told him to do. Clothe this man with honor, because he deserves it. Clothe him with honor. Then the last verse here in this class, hote dia to ergon Christo, mekre thanatou engise, parabulosomenos, te psuke, hina, ana place ro se to, hemen, hister me, tes pros me liturgos. Here we start out again now, a little weak adversive conjunction, and we have a we have a conjunction there. And then because, through, on account of the work, the product of employment, there, the ergon. Work of Christ, until death, he drew near. Because of the work of Christ, he drew near to death. This man gambled with his life to go and serve Paul. And he was near to death. Engiste. Third person singular, first aorist, indicative active from engiso. Parabulosomenos. Throwing down the stake. He laid his life out. He staked his life out. He put his life on the line, is what it talks about. In the soul, in order that he might fill up the of ye lacking of toward me service. Parabulosomenos. Now there was a among the Lakota people, among the Teton Dakota and Dakota, among these people there was a habit, kind of a tradition. Sometimes villages would get ready to make war on each other, different tribes and different kind of people. And if there was a real brave man, I think maybe if America and other countries in the world, if they had to send the leaders out there to fight the battles, there would never be any wars. But among the Lakota people, among the tribes, if you thought that you could do something to avert a war, so people wouldn't have to die, one brave person would come out, one brave warrior, usually a leader, and he would ride a white horse, and he would take his weapons, and he would go ride right in the middle of the enemy village that they were about to go. There was a great discontent between them. And he would go in there, and he would jump off of his horse and take a stake and drive it in the ground, and he would challenge any band that wanted to defend so that they could bring to an end this problem. He would stake his life to bring an end to the problem between these two peoples. And he would get out there and he would fight one man at a time. If there was more, one, whatever, he would fight all of them to the death. Now, this is exactly what Paul is talking about here. This man went out and staked himself out. He staked himself out as a missionary to the point of death. It almost cost him his life, but he did it for you. Now, when he comes back home, he said, you honor him as a great warrior, as someone that sacrificed his life so that he could help me, because all of you couldn't come. So remember him, and you honor him like he should be honored when he comes home. Our Father, we send this message out for your honor and glory. Please use it wherever it goes, to build up your people, to save souls, and that they will consecrate their lives as service to you. And Father, thank you for the blessings you give us. Thank you for the life you give us. Help us to glorify you with our lives. Please forgive me where I fail you. In Jesus' name I pray.